How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I've had better days.
Yeah, you had a surgery or?
Yeah, I deviated septum, had the surgery yesterday, and I'm supposed to feel like I have a cold for about 2 weeks. And boy,
Oh,
like I have a cold.
is that for sleep apnea? Is that something
You
that
know what? I sure that contributed. I played hockey for a number of years, and great body check. Mask came in. Was
oh,
what, maybe 15 when it happened. I already dealt with it now, so
wow. Well, I'm glad that
procrastination.
you were able to make it. Thank you for joining us.
I
Super
wouldn't have
excited.
missed this for the world. Really looking forward to this. So
Yeah, super excited to have you on the show.
great,
And we've got our community watching, and a lot of our members are already in on Universal Prop Tech. And I
great.
wanted to just get into it and ask you a couple questions. First and foremost, what exactly is it that Universal Prop Tech does? Okay. And how much money does it generate on an annual basis?
Okay, great questions. I'll take the second one. So historically, it's been about a $10 million a year business. So for about 40 years, to be honest with you, there wasn't a lot of attention from management. This sucks. There wasn't a lot of attention from management to really pursue more work. They had a steady flow of about $10 million a year from maintaining controls equipment in federal government facilities. So it was just a cash cow. And so for them, they were quite content, the previous owners. When we took it over several years ago, I was there before. We had good intentions, and unfortunately, we had to get rid of a few people for them to finally come to fruition. So I came back. So that's what it has as its underpinning of a business. Going forward, what we're doing is really saying, look, it's a starter kit. We have this $10 million a year HVAC control services business that is going to have this work, not forever, but it has a solid work. How do we build off this? And when you look out at the marketplace and what they're looking for, this isn't the sexy part. We get that, right? The HVAC services building controls is not the sexy part of the sandwich. So how do we start? And so part of it was Chris, our CEO, took over control this summer. He, did a lot of great work to get about 1.3 million of admin costs out. And really, we talked in the summer, brought me back in, and really put a focus back on what do we want to be, where are we going. And so Universal PropTech was a big part of that. It was really understanding where the market's going, where investors are going, to understand the appetite. And there's a whole bunch of layers of what it is we're doing from an investor perspective. You can invest in prop tech. You can invest in something that's not edgy, but something that it's riskier to make an investment solely in a prop tech company, but we can help de-risk it. We can put it through our HVAC and controls folks into live organizations where we can deploy it. And as we help de-risk it, we can then help take it to market further and greater than just Canada for that matter. So we think our starter kit is great to really deploy PropTech and really increase the share of wallet of more than just HVAC and controls. It's building performance. We had an announcement today, so it's talking about artificial intelligence. How are you optimizing how buildings operate? So if you look at all the components of a building systems, energy systems, air quality, we're now tying them all in. And as you've seen in a number of previous announcements, that's the air quality piece rolling through. And we're not done yet. Now we're starting the AI, and we're not done yet. So there's a lot of pieces we look to bring in, and patience, but we have a great plan to get there. And certainly we're going to blow by this $10 million a year once we get going. It's just, I think once all the pieces are in, it becomes easier for us to start looking at, okay, what are those targets now? What are we really going to achieve with all these different pieces? So that's where we're going.
That's great. I mean, even 10 million a year, your stock's sitting at 27 cents. There's not too many companies trading at 27 cents that are even making 10 million a year with your tight float. So from
Yeah,
that perspective, I think this is very undervalued, very underappreciated, very underexposed. In fact, I have so many members all over the world. In Germany, they can't
yeah,
buy it because it's not listed there. In
yeah,
America, they can't buy it because it's not listed there, and they want it.
yeah,
They keep asking
yeah,
me, how do I get UPI in America? How do I get UPI in
yeah.
Germany? Any ideas or plans to expand
Yeah.
into those markets?
So there's certainly a plan to, and I think we have to wait for the right decisions by certain bodies, but absolutely there's an intention to expand south of the border. And hopefully, in fact, I don't think it takes very long to do it in Germany, but it's something we've already been talking about.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
And I know that
So
a
we're
lot
excited. And I think a lot of what we're looking at as well will take us, again, some of the investments we're looking to make will take us into markets that those actually make a lot of sense for us. If we're going to have the presence there, might as well have a listing there.
Well, I can honestly tell you that we've worked with so many companies that we're kind of like stuck at a certain level. As soon as they got listed in America, I don't know why, what it is, they double. It's wild. And it's because there's just such a huge market in the US. And when they get that US listing and then the buying runs in, it just it's like rocket fuel for the stock. I've seen it on deal after deal after deal.
I think you're right. I think part of the problem is that until just prior to the break, we weren't promoted at all. And so that was part of what was the challenge leading up to that was, no, we have to get promoted. We have to make sure there's enough shares out there. So we've done additional raises. So we're doing everything we have to do to lead up to where we're going. Without that, it doesn't work. And with that, and without our plan, it doesn't work. So as we bring in these technologies and start wrapping them into what our new offerings are going to be going forward, it's a much more sophisticated sell to the actual the facility owners, managers. It's really taking it to a different level, still providing all the services we're providing, but we're now adding more on top of that and expanding it. So, and I've been in this sector for over 20 years. There is this massive paradigm shift from this old, Honeywell, Johnson Controls, pick on them, this old model, even utilities, and I've done a lot of utility deals where they're living off this. We're all paying the price for it. We're all paying way more for energy than we should. They're living off this paradigm. And as we're shifting it to a very customer-centric AI, IoT, cloud-driven model, they're not going to win with that. In fact, they don't win at all. And so no one who's living off that is pardon my French, going to go piss on their own cornflakes. So this is where we certainly see the opportunity. We know it resonates with customers. And I'd say part of this is making sure it also resonates with investors. And so we think we have a pretty good plan. We're bringing in the products and the approach that makes sense. Some people have even asked us, well, why multiple products on the UVC side or ionization on the clean air? Because number one, you can't just rely on one. Doesn't matter what everyone says out there. They're all slightly different. There's no one winner in this marketplace. And all of them are different because depending on the type of school or facility you have and the age of the equipment and the condition of them, ionization might not work. UV might not work in a certain location. Is it in room? Is it a central system? Do you have the proper airflow that's going to disseminate the ionization as far as you need to disseminate it? All these things are factors that determine on a case-by-case basis, very customer-centric, if we're going to be their trusted advisor, what makes sense for that site. So having our heads on a few of them make way more sense than saying we're only riding one. And then when you add on to that, all the additional things we plan on bringing in, I think it makes it a much more fuller picture on an air quality play. Then the second piece of that as well, I would say, is try to get product. A lot of these guys who are doing well because people think their product is really well, will take you several months to get it. Well, I don't think we have several months. So we have to be able to have enough solutions in our arsenal that we can help offset that.
Now, it's vital that we invest as a community in companies that have a strong balance sheet and strong fundamentals. What does the balance sheet look like as far as like assets, debt, cash? You guys have a strong balance sheet right now?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty strong. I mean, we're sitting on just under $2 million in cash. We have good receivables. We have debt our convertible debt is down to about, I think, 500,000.
Nice.
For a business that, we're almost out of debt. In fact, I think soon they'll probably all be converted. So we're certainly in a good, solid spot. I think as things play out, we're certainly interested in another raise sooner than later to really expand on the acquisitions and investment opportunities we have in front of us. So I think the fundamentals are pretty good. Obviously, our Q1 results I thought were pretty good. With COVID, our gross profit was up, almost three times compared to our last Q1.
That's impressive.
And that wasn't in COVID then. So, we've got some good fundamentals going. We're turning things around.
You guys have been putting out a lot of news. You just had a press release about an agreement, a distribution agreement with Fresh Air UV. Can you tell us a bit more about the agreement and how does Fresh Air UV work exactly?
So we have, so it's great. We have Fresh Air, we had Atmos Air, we have Air Sniper that just came out in the last week. So again, we're building up our arsenal. So Fresh Air is a UV, germicidal UV technology. So it's lamps, it's blue light lamps. And then the Atmos Air is an ionization, bipolar ionization solution, right? Which it works a little differently. And then Air Sniper is another UV solution again, with some other added benefits. So about them, I mean, it's simple. This is the time of COVID. So everyone's looking for, I have my Dyson upstairs, but the Dyson isn't going to kill COVID or isn't going to stop the spread of it. So all these technologies are coming out, and the intent is, where in the HVAC system, in your ventilation system, are you going to put these in order to stop the spread? So there's just a whole many plays, and as I was saying earlier, do you put it in the central system in the boiler room? Are you putting it, you have other filters you're going to attach it to? Are you putting it in room, depending on what type of school or senior's home? You can put it in someone's actual room. So, we're going to figure that stuff out. And each one of those solutions are their best in their areas, but there's no silver bullet in this industry. And so having just one isn't enough. So Fresh Air and Atmos Air are great, but they're not exclusive. Air Sniper is exclusive. That's an Eastern Canada exclusivity. They're made in Canada. We're looking forward to really blowing out the marketing and the ability to take them to even residential customers. So, we've got our pieces of the pie. We think we're pretty happy with the additional products that will be coming out to support it. I think the market will say, okay, that's pretty prudent. That's a smart play. So I'll give you a good example too. You can identify that you have COVID in your building. How are you going to fix it? How are you going to clean it? And so we have to have the tools in our arsenal to make sure we're getting to all of that. And the ability to be able to identify.
Very smart. It's very smart. This is a serious problem. It's pretty much shut down most of the world. And I mean, I don't live in a building, but I have a lot of friends that live in buildings, and they're literally scared because they're like, I don't know who has COVID around me, and you're living in a building where this could be airborne. We don't really know. Apparently it's airborne. So, it's like, how do I know when I'm walking down the hall or that this guy has COVID or that girl has COVID? I have no idea. So what you're doing is actually quite smart when you think about the amount of people that work in buildings, live in buildings. This is a major need. This is not a want. This is a need in 2021.
It's huge. And I think the government's throwing out a lot of money at this, right? So that's going to help with a lot of the schools, campuses, hospitals, obviously, seniors' homes. So that's clearly something we're going to go after more aggressively. But, the COVID testing is about $1 billion market in North America. The air quality is now moving up as a larger portion of what people are spending their money on. HVAC in general, building controls, they were always in growth mode, right? That's happening because of PropTech, because there's better ways to deploy those technologies. So air quality has probably just jumped to the front of the line for the next probably a year or so, where people are now spending more time worrying about, are we going to make people sick? Is this a liability in our business? Can we have our tenants show up, someone gets sick, and now we're sued? So we're going to help them mitigate those risks and be able to validate that, they've done what they said they were going to do. So we're looking forward to it.
Frank, in December, UPI announced that it signed an agreement to install DeltaX Trust, a contactless facial and temperature recognition technology in a retirement home and a school and sports complex in Vaughan. Can you tell us a bit about these developments and the company aiming at working with more retirement homes?
Sure. So we've initiated those deals. I mean, they're signed. The challenge we have at the moment is, the arena/school is closed because of the lockdown. So there was no rush to sort of get it in until they knew when they were opening again. So we're waiting for that. And the seniors home, I think the challenge there has become more, everyone's ready. It's just they're more focused on obviously vaccines. So it hasn't been a big rush. And I think part of this is we locked down technologies. It was the first one that after we had done some assessments, makes sense. They're local, let's lock them in. I think, temperature is not necessarily as the COVID has been spreading, it's not necessarily the biggest determinant if someone has COVID or not. And so we continue to look at other solutions that make maybe more sense. It's there at the moment. We're waiting for other things to happen. But I think the things we're working on will just dwarf anything else we've discussed in the past.
Wow.
We're excited. Chris, as an accountant by training, our CEO has put so much time and effort into this COVID play and understanding what this has to have going forward. I think we're pretty excited as to what we'll be rolling out in the next few weeks. So
that's great. I'm excited to be here and to talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you see the core business ramping up from delayed spending due to COVID last year?
The money is there. The governments are putting it out. School boards, organizations are starting to dish out more of it. I think there'll be a massive push in time for the new school year. So we'll see what we can get done for that. I think, the provincial budget is different than the federal budget, has a different time to it. So the next quarter, next 2 months, 3 months, everything starts to roll out, if not sooner, depending on some of these, the province might have excess money that they're planning to release now before their year end. But the big spend will come out as the federal provincial government start their new year, which is shortly. So there, we expect a lot more money to be coming out. They've earmarked a lot of it. I think the challenge will be in this marketplace isn't can we get our share of it? It's can everyone really get enough feet on the street to execute? So we're putting together a plan for that.
How's the feedback been of your existing customers? Are they liking these new products?
So we've had some good discussions with them. Yes, they are. These are solid. Most of our clients are governmental, so they're pretty steady. They're not going to be very emotional about something, but they're pretty steady. Everything we're talking about, everything we're looking at is ideal for all of them. So it's in their sweet spot. We announced a deal this morning with SensorSuite. So most of our clients by far have building automation systems, and that's what we service. But there's a whole segment out there, the underserved communities, I call them, of small, medium-sized buildings that don't have a building automation system. In fact, most multi-residential don't have building automation systems. They have maybe one off for their boiler. They leave every suite owner to themselves. So signing a deal with SensorSuite this morning was about giving us a better tool to be able to go after these non-BAS facilities and ultimately create a BAS light type package. So we've got our hands a lot of controls already. Now have another set with artificial intelligence attached to it. It's really setting the groundwork of us having a far more expensive and data-rich, artificial intelligence building performance business. So,
what's your timeline to getting new products to market?
It's happening. We're in the process of pulling them in. I think simultaneously what's also happening, because there's a bit of a plan as to all the pieces will fit shortly. The plan as well is we've begun the hiring process. We posted for a number of new jobs. We're already vetting different people at different levels. So that should be playing out in the next few weeks.
Great.
Yeah.
And it's very important to us that we understand share structure. Share structure is vital for our community. We love tight float stocks. You guys are a very tight float stock. Can you talk a little bit about your share structure and how many shares are held by insiders and institutions?
Yeah, I think right now we have, I think it's just over 30 million shares at the moment. Fully diluted, I think takes it up to 59 million or 60 million. And at the 30 million, I think it's about 70% are basically tightly held. And I think that moves up to about 75%, assuming everything gets executed.
Very good.
So yeah, you're right. It is tightly held. I think some of the challenges are some people came in to help out early on, and there are few of them, as people can see in the stock, why it's not rising very much, is that we're replacing new people with people who are taking out their 5-10x already. So God bless. It's great to see people making money, and I think we're just going to have a whole new slew of people making more money. So pretty happy with that.
Okay, so let's explain that a little bit further. So what essentially Frank is saying is that there are people right now that are selling that got in early, and the new buyers are now taking positions that are literally just getting started in this investment. Is that correct with what you're saying?
Yeah, I think when I say there are a few, there's literally like one or two people who they're not insiders, they're not people who were part of a plan to take out the previous CEO to do things. and they're more than happy to walk away with their, in some cases, 10 times.
Wow.
So, it's fine. I think it's obviously frustrating when people want to see the stock go up, but I think the net effect is, so they're still getting out to their, shy of 30-cent range, and they're cashing out. We're chewing up those shares, but other people get to come in at a lower rate than I think it should be at, and so they'll get the benefit of what happens in the forward months, or even forward weeks for that matter. So I think one thing we talk about is we love it when people do that, because it's frustrating for other investors. But ultimately, you want to see people who don't bet on the company. You want to see them lose big when we grow and we expand. So it's exciting to have a lot of new people coming in. I think they just have to really understand, despite my cold or my problem, we have a good plan. We have some good people we're building up and bringing in. We're moving on so many fronts, and we're trying to be as opportunistic as we can be, but at the same time sticking to a plan. And the plan's working, so we're pretty happy. And obviously, we know what we're about to do, and so we're pretty excited. We hope people pay attention. I think there'll be an interesting next few weeks, that's for sure.
Well, we're paying attention, and obviously, when you have people selling, it's good that we get a chance to speak and get a chance to see what's going on, because we didn't know, right? So now that we know there's some people selling, or one or two, eventually they're going to be done. So once
I think it's not very long before they're done.
Yeah. So once that overhang is out of the way, guys, and you have to understand the way brokers work, and I've been in this game for a long time. I know you have, Frank. Brokers literally sit there and sit on the offer, and they'll just unload paper until they're done. That's the way it works. Okay. Yeah. And once they're done, that overhang is no longer there. And then typically after that, there's blue skies for the stock. So we may be, in a week or two talking about a completely different share price. Now, I wanted to get into that in more detail. So
sure.
With all the new products and solutions you guys are working on, what's the plan to turn Universal PropTech and this business and the stock into super hyper growth?
Yeah. Well, great question. I think so. It's a lot of layers. So we're trying to build off of our HVAC. We don't want to make other investments that aren't utilizing the fact we have this $10 million a year business. So a lot of the initial solutions that are coming out are more contiguous with what we already have going to market. So how do we expand it? How do we go back to our customers, increase share of wallet? So there's that element. We're focusing on the items that are certainly in our wheelhouse to do. Big part of this as well is, we can't just keep taking revenues off the same customers we've had for 40 years, right? So we have to really expand that base. So there's an active process to bring in the new line of prospects and customers and hundreds of buildings that allow us to do what we did for these guys for 40 years for a new layer of customer, right? For a new amount of customer. With the solutions we have, again, if you think about the business from, there's air quality, COVID, air quality, IAQ, IEQ, all these different areas where air quality becomes a big issue. There's building performance. So decision like today, where we now have an AI, an artificial intelligence company, are going to help us. And artificial intelligence is great because you can generate 20-25% energy savings with very little effort, because the technology ultimately does it for you. So there's another product we get to take to market that's more contiguous with PropTech, right? We're not just doing it the old-fashioned way. Then you're moving into, what other solutions do we need for a mechanical group? So we're fixing that and filling that in. Our controls group, filling that in, making sure we have open standard, having a lot of better products that allow us to be fresh and relevant today than what we've done for 40 years. So those are pretty simple. Then you're getting into, what else is there, right? So there's the building performance we talked about, air quality, your mechanical controls. Now we're talking about, we're ultimately talking about energy resources. So people are putting in EV chargers. People are putting in batteries, PV, other renewables, cogeneration. People are doing things that are going to require a way more extensive and complicated system to save them their money. And so we're not even talking about, managing while they're building systems, and we are, but now there's an ability to actually trade that excess energy far better than ever was in the previous years. So there's something that's coming out of the United States. FERC, Federal Energy Regulator, came out with an order back in, I think, October in November called FERC Order 2222. And basically what it said was every system operator, kind of like the independent electricity system operator in Ontario, every operator across the United States, and then down to their utilities like a Toronto Hydro, you have less than a year to report back on how you're going to enable everyone's demand energy resources to be tradable. So if I build a campus or I build a utility system that allows me to save energy, but also store it and also trade it where the market, so there's now a big market that's going to happen. So I can get money for selling, 10 minutes of my energy, and I do this several times a day, a week, a month, a year. I'm now finding ways of turning my energy into an asset as opposed to just a liability. And so this is going to happen in a really big way. And the technologies required to make sure that that happens in real time are quite critical. So we have to be part of that, and we will be part of that. So we're taking, it's a new paradigm. We're taking buildings, they might be operated by the same people, but they will operate quite differently to make sure we save people money, we can make them more money, and ultimately we have a better stickiness in what we're doing going forward as well, right?
I like what you're doing. I'm working from home, but if I had to go into an office right now, I'd feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you because of the whole COVID. I'd be like, what am I walking into? Now, if I knew that building was fully secure with universal PropTech and everywhere I went, I was secure, I wouldn't have to worry. I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel more comfortable going to work. I feel more comfortable walking around work. Hopefully the day comes where we don't have to wear masks again. And these are the types of products that hopefully can help get there.
So Rich, I think if you look further, you start to realize that, okay, we're definitely, like any good business right now that's surviving. How do we take advantage of what is presented through this COVID? And so clearly air quality is a big area. But, look out a year, the systems in place and the tests to get access to a building, the things that are rolling out have to be relevant beyond that. Yes. And so we're talking about in a year when your school is open and, maybe it's not COVID you're testing for, but now you're testing for, do you have the flu? If you have the flu, we can't let you in here today. We're getting to a different stage of how we're going to treat buildings and facilities. And air quality is going to be so critical that right now it doesn't happen, but you're going to have sensors, different levels of VOCs and particulates in the air that you'll be monitoring in real time all the time that will then have its consequence of, turn on the ionizer again or do this. It's going to become a very complicated, buildings will start to act and feel like an Apple Watch, okay? It's becoming that much more complicated and sophisticated, but you can solve these issues. You can make sure that, one thing about buildings that's always amazed me for years is that, think about it, right? You walk into your business in the morning, maybe your retail or your restaurant, you walk in, when your building opens, you're opening everything. Everything goes on, right? You're not making a buck when you've done that. You're not making a buck until there's an actual sale. But there's a fundamental, it's like a North American glut of energy that we have. Why are things being turned on before you actually need them? Yet, I know people, I did a Boston Pizza years ago. The first chef walks in at, say, 8:30 in the morning. They don't open until about 10:30, 11. Walks in the morning, and his first job is, opens the lights, gets to the kitchens, opens the fans, right? The three-phase fans that, you're not cooking anything yet. Goes into the bar area. They all look the same, the Boston Pizzas. Turns on the TVs. So now everything is up at a new level of you're paying, if you figured it out, about 50 to 20% of all your energy costs for the year are when you're not even making a dollar. But you decided to do this as a process. Why? And we can help automate all of that and make it more effective. It's just amazing. We did little things that you have to figure out with technology and an approach. I'll give you a good one. All your guests would be wondering, or all your viewers, like pick a Starbucks, okay? Everyone's gone to a Starbucks. You got your, you got your big espresso makers. Those suckers are power hogs. So every night when they close a Starbucks, they turn off those machines. But you know what runs the entire night? The steam boiler is running the entire night as if it's ready for a call of a shot of espresso. Why? So we have to change the way people want to operate their businesses. It will become a big part of getting, never mind 20, 30, 50, 60, 70% reduction in their energy costs because they're being prudent about it. And we will be a big part of that.
I like it. If there was one thing that you would want shareholders to know about Universal PropTech, what would it be?
Watch us every day. We have a lot of stuff we plan on putting up. You got to watch us, and don't miss a day. I would just say pay attention. And yeah, I get the odd text from people saying, hey, people are selling. Why? Like, if you made 10 times your money, you might be selling already too. And I think, our job isn't to worry about those guys. They made their money. I'd be upset if they were leaving saying I took losses. We like making people money. And that's certainly the game plan. Right now, I'm not a big shareholder in the company. I do have some options, but I'll tell you, I love being the proverbial craps player, rolling that dice and making everyone around the table money. So, you can't make the money if you're not at the table. So hopefully people are paying attention.
So does that mean you're going to be buying shares?
I mean, no, it doesn't mean I'm buying shares. It means I'm trying to make everyone money. That's what I'm trying to talk about. I don't think people care about me making money. They care about me making them money. So I think just, all I can say is pay attention. We've got a good plan. You'll start seeing it rolling out even more. And I think you'll be excited.
It's very vital that our shareholders get the opportunity to communicate with the company. A lot of our shareholders like to speak to the company, speak to investor relations, speak to chief growth officers like yourself, and get a better feel for what's going on. What is the best way for shareholders that are watching this video right now, that will be watching after the video is posted? What is the best way for them to get in contact with you or the company if they're interested in learning more?
I'd say reach out to the CEO, Chris Hazelton, or myself. Anytime. Emails, Twitter, pretty active on Twitter, LinkedIn. We're out there. And so there are people who I think are part of your group who reached out and asked a lot of questions that I have no problem answering them. So I think we're in a good place. We want to answer those questions.
Fantastic. Well, Frank, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Love to invite you back on the show again. Hopefully you'll feel better and you'll be 100%
I think
next time. And but I appreciate.
I would love to be back on. I think this is great. I think I've seen a lot of your episodes. It's great. So
yeah, and actually, I think you've done great considering you just went through surgery. I think this video has been great, but I'd love to invite you back again in the future, especially as Universal PropTech has bigger news, bigger price appreciation, anything exciting that's happening. Love for you to be able to come on so we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Frank Carnevale, the Chief Growth Officer of Universal PropTech, symbol UPI. Thank you guys for watching. If you're not winning, you're not watching. We bring you winners and we bring them to you first. If you like the video, please smash the like button, comment down below, share the video everywhere, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Frank, thank you for joining us, and have yourself a great day.
Thanks, Rich. Take care, you too.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day, everyone. We'll see you soon.